Belfast! I've always wanted to do that. So what I wanted to say first of all, before I get into my story, is this campaign doesn't need to end here today. All of you are on social media, you have smartphones, hit the Facebook Live button, take photos, use the hashtag March for Their Lives, get this thing trending, let it hit every corner of the world. It doesn't need to be contained to here. And the people that couldn't make it then, they can still see the content, they can hear the stories, because all the stories that are going on here today are things that people you will know that will need to hear at some point. So I'll get into my story and stop yattering on. I had posted recently on social media about my pro-life stance, and immediately I was met with a lot of comments regarding what about if somebody's really sick, what about if the child is going to die, what about all these things. But anybody that knows me knows that my story ticks both of those boxes, and I fall into that. Because when I was pregnant with my second child, I woke up one morning and it felt like the whole world was collapsing in on itself. And immediately I fell out of bed. I couldn't really walk, I couldn't really talk, I was vomiting non-stop, and it was clearly that there was something very, very wrong. To cut a long story short, I was diagnosed with hydrocephalus, which is extreme build-up of fluid on the brain, and I was going to need emergency brain surgery. At the same time then, when it came up to my 20-week scan, I was told that my baby had a condition called CDH, congenital diaphragmatic hernia. And she had a rare form of it, which meant she was only going to have a 20 to 30% survival chance. And at that point, the first time the doctors came to me, it was very clear that I was at death's door, as we put it. And they came to me and they offered me a medical termination. And immediately I just said no. I already had a child. I knew that my job as a mother was to love that child as much as I could. Immediately, straight away, no. Then it came to maybe about 10 days later. I was very, very ill. I was still on a very, very critically ill part of the hospital, and they came to me again. At this point, fear and doubt were starting to creep into my mind, and this is one of the big things that I really want to hit out there, is that we need to change education. Women need to know that they don't need to live in fear, that if you're carrying a child that has a diagnosis of a life-limiting disease, you can't always think, how am I going to bury a child? How am I going to cope? Do you know what? Nobody has that strength starting off. But what you do is you put one foot in front of the other, you walk one day at a time, and then you get through. But your ultimate goal is to protect that baby as much as you can for as long as you can. So they came to me on the second time and they said, Stephanie, we want you to go for a medical termination. And I did. It fleeced through my mind for a few seconds. I thought that would make life a bit easier for me. Maybe we could just get rid of it. But then I remembered that I had a child that had a beating heart inside of me. That child had a brain. That child had lungs. That child had every organ that it needs to survive. And that I was going to give her the chance, no matter what it took. I was going to get that child to full term. And I literally crawled through on my hands and my knees. They came to me then a third time to offer me a medical termination. It was something that they were really trying to push on me. And I said, no, do not ask me again. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my child full term. And I did. And it was coming up to they had to perform a neurosurgical procedure on me while I was wide awake with no pain relief. I had 2 paracetamol after it, and it was a really hard experience. But the whole time I sat there with blood trickling down my face, I held my bump and I knew what I was doing. I was a mother. I was protecting my child and I was doing what she needed, and I was prepared to do whatever it took. And I got her full term, and unfortunately at 25 hours old she died. And I loved her and I held her, and in the end it was just us. So I know there are a lot of people that are here that are in faith, but there are people here who won't be in faith. When this happened with me, I was not a Christian. This wasn't a Christian decision that I made. Now that I am a Christian, I know the truth. But I just really want to let people know that you can move on. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to live in doubt. And everybody that's in here right now, this change happens with everybody that's here today. You can help if somebody you know is pregnant and they find out they're having a child with a life-limiting condition, or they are sick themselves. Support them. Let them know that there are churches that will pray for them or provide services. Let them know what community associations, whatever's going on. But most of all, be open to talking to them about it. A lot of these decisions come out of a place of fear, and they don't want to burden other people with their problems, or they don't want to upset other people. Be there and talk to women. This change happens today with everybody else, regardless of what those laws done. If we start talking more about fetal abnormality, about fetal death, about being pregnant while you're sick, if we start talking about it more and supporting more women, less women will decide to go down the abortion road. We all have a job here and we all have a responsibility, and it says that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, here we've got a whole city full of people that are willing to stand up and stand for the children. Every single person that has come here, that has taken time out of their day, you are making a difference, regardless of what you think. You might not be on this platform, but you're down there, you've got your own platform. You can go into the workplaces and talk about this, into the schools, the playgrounds, your friends, churches, wherever it is that you go. Talk about this issue, talk about it, bring it up, and don't let people know. Just tell them that this is not in our name. We don't want these laws, we don't need them, and they need to get them out.